And we're back on The Fowler Show. Here on The Fowler Show, we've been closely following the race for the Illinois 3rd Congressional District. In that race, one of the House's most conservative Democrats is facing a primary challenge from a progressive outsider. Now the spotlight on the district has gotten even crazier with the inclusion of a self-proclaimed Nazi in the race. America, introducing our political maniac, Arthur Jones. And this one here is a wild one. But before we listen, now you've got to stay with me to hear what he said. Let me give you a recap of where we are in the Illinois 3rd District. We've covered this on the show before. We will continue to cover this race. The Illinois 3rd District includes the suburbs of Chicago, places like Lamont, right? Places like Orland Park, places like Beverly, the outskirts, the southwestern suburbs of Chicago, very wealthy, well-to-do, upper middle class area. Currently, they're represented by Dan Lipinski, who has been in Congress since 2005. He supported a constitutional amendment to ban same-sex marriage. He voted to repeal and repeatedly to defund Planned Parenthood. He opposed the Affordable Care Act, and he supports making it difficult for Syrian refugees to come here to the United States. Now, listen, I have no problem with centrist Democrats. What I have a problem with is individuals who vote against the self-interest of their district in order to please, I don't know who he's trying to please. But think about this guy's district. This district has a lot of Hispanic voters, has a lot of upper middle class voters and middle class voters. And to vote against issues like opposing the Affordable Care Act is not who the people of Chicago or the people of the Chicago suburbs are. So that is why Dan Lipinski has a progressive challenger whose name is Marie Newman. And she is a progressive businesswoman, and she's an anti-bullying advocate who will likely, it seems likely, that she will win that particular primary race. And the race was interesting. And it's got even more interesting. So now, America, I give you Arthur Jones. Let's take a listen.
I was candidate just recently for Congress in the 3rd Congressional District of Illinois. I was campaigning on the issues that I think most white people, and for that matter, most Americans feel very strongly about, and into affirmative action, to special rights for non-whites, to put the gays back in the closets, to end the murder of millions of babies by legalized abortion, to stand up for the interests of the United States in foreign affairs instead of letting the Israeli lobby dominate things.
Now, if that wasn't crazy enough for you, Jones has made himself, he's the only Republican who's registered or filed to run in this particular race. He is a racist and anti-Semite who claims that he was once been the leader of America's Nazi Party. He's running as a Republican. Jones made his name for himself as an outspoken Holocaust denier, calling the genocide that claimed the lives of 6 million Jews as racket and the biggest, blackest lie in history. Now, he's 70 years old. He could be suffering from a slight case of dementia, just maybe based on that quote you saw and what he says, but I digress. He's unsuccessfully run for a number of public offices in Illinois, including 7 attempts at the GOP nominee for Congress in the Illinois 3rd District. But this year, he's finally poised to clinch the nomination because he's the only candidate on the ballot for the March 20th primary, which is just around the corner. So since he's the only candidate, he will likely win. And this reflects a larger problem the Republicans have, America. So right now, I think we have 9 committee chairmen in the GOP House of Representatives that have made the choice to resign. And I think we're in the mid-30s, close to 40 retirements in the United States House of Representatives. So we have 9 House chairmen who are resigning, and about 30 to 40, I think it's like 35 is the exact number, veteran House Republicans leaving. And so this is what this creates, a recruitment problem. Because you have Donald Trump, and listen, I'm not saying I'm a fan of Trump. I'm not a fan of Trump. I think he might be a good guy somewhere deep down inside. But it's hard. It's hard to run as a Republican in this midterm election. It's not going to be easy because you're going to have to run on everything the president says and everything the president does. So just think about it. This past week, he gave a speech in Cincinnati where he was supposed to go out there and tote at the economy and talk about his wins and talk about tax reform. Two things happened in that speech. First, he basically said that every Democrat who did not stand for him during his speech was un-American and they might be treasonous. And then his speech was interrupted because of a major crash, and we'll talk about it later in the show, in the stock market. Or not a crash. Crash is probably too strong of a word. A downturn, a very strong downturn in the stock market. So if you're a Republican and you're getting ready to run for Congress, you basically have to run on every word this president says. And that's hard. That's really, really hard because this president says a lot of things that he shouldn't say. Like he shouldn't call Haiti and Africa shithole countries. He shouldn't say there's violence on many sides, there's good people on many sides in Charlottesville. His chief of staff shouldn't call dreamers or people who didn't qualify for DACA as lazy. People who don't want to get off their asses. So this is not easy for Republicans. Yes, the economic numbers are working in their favor. And yes, usually, if the economics are good, the party in power wins. But this is a different set of circumstances. The economics are good, but where we are as a country when it comes to our culture, it's bad news bears. This president has the lowest approval rating ever since we've been taking approval ratings on average. I think the highest he's ever gotten was like 38%. So only 38% of Americans ever approve of what this president does on his best day of work. Okay? So that means another, what is that? 80 some odd, like what's that? No, we're at 60 some odd percent disapprove of what he's doing. That's a major problem. A majority of Americans disapprove this president. And then you've got to put that into play. And you think about places, obviously in the 3rd district, there's a Democrat in the seat. I think this district will swing farther to the left, and Marie Newman will likely win this seat. But you have more districts like this, these suburban districts. You have some in Pennsylvania. You have some in New Jersey. You have some in New York. You have some in California. You have some in Florida. These districts are very vulnerable because these suburban voters are saying the economy is doing good, but hell, the economy's been doing good for the past 4 years. The economy didn't start doing good the minute Trump became president. The economy was doing good in Obama, almost the entirety of Obama's 2nd term. So the economy is going to do good no matter which candidate I vote for in this midterm elections. These are what these suburban voters are saying to themselves. So I have a choice. I could vote for somebody who is going to bring some sanity to Washington, or I could vote for a candidate or an incumbent who is lockstep with President Trump, who I feel as though his rhetoric is moving our country in the wrong direction. And when you have people like Arthur Jones running in the 3rd district, and remember, Arthur Jones, I'm pretty sure somehow, some way is related to people like Roy Moore, the pedophile from Alabama. If this is who the Republicans are recruiting to run for these positions, Democrats are going to have a good midterm. They're going to have a good election in November. I'm just saying.